It was a tranquil summer morning in South Lake Tahoe, California, June 10, 1991. 11-year-old Jaycee Lee Dugard had just finished her breakfast, kissed her family goodbye, and started walking toward her school bus stop. She wore a pink jacket, its vibrant color almost glowing under the soft morning sun. It was a jacket she loved, a piece of normalcy that gave her childlike confidence. But within minutes, her life would take a devastating turn, one she could never have imagined. That short walk, so familiar and routine, would be the last she'd take in freedom for 18 long years. Jaycee approached the bus stop, her mind likely wandering to school projects or what games recess would bring. But then, a gray car pulled up beside her. Its window rolled down and inside sat a man, Phillip Garrido, and his wife, Nancy. Before Jaycee could react, Phillip opened his door, stepped out, and fired a stun gun at her. The shock surged through her tiny body, leaving her crumpled on the pavement, terrified and unable to scream. Nancy threw open the car's back door as Phillip lifted Jaycee and dragged her inside. They covered her with a blanket, ensuring no passerby would see her. Seconds later, the car sped off, carrying Jaycee into the unknown. Jaycee's stunned stepfather, Carl Probin, who had just watched the abduction from their home, frantically jumped on a bicycle to chase after the van. It was futile. He couldn't catch them. All he could do was shout to the neighbors for help, hoping desperately that someone would see where the car went. A massive search effort unfolded that morning. Helicopters scanned the skies, search dogs combed through the woods, and hundreds of volunteers joined the search. But there was no trace of Jaycee. No witnesses, no leads, no ransom demands. It was as though she had vanished into thin air. Jaycee woke hours later in a nightmare. She was in a stranger's home, 180 miles away in Antioch, California, and locked inside a dilapidated shed in the backyard. The shed was soundproof and barren. No windows, no sunlight, no way to scream for help. This was to be her prison. For the first days, weeks, and months, Jaycee was kept in isolation, terrified and confused. Phillip Garrido told her that her family had stopped searching for her, that this was her new life, and that he was the only person she could trust. Jaycee, overwhelmed and alone, began to believe him. Years passed. Jaycee grew older, but her world remained endlessly confined. Her pink jacket from that sunny morning was now faded and tattered, but it stayed with her, a fragile reminder of life before captivity. When she turned 14, she gave birth to her first child, a girl fathered by Garrido. A second child followed a few years later. Despite the horrifying reality of their existence, Jaycee poured her energy and love into raising her daughters. She homeschooled them from reading materials Garrido provided, teaching them to read, write, and imagine a world they had never seen. 18 years Jaycee spent there, hidden in plain sight. Authorities visited Garrido's house multiple times, checking on him due to his status as a registered sex offender. But the backyard compound, concealed behind fences and tarps, remained a dark secret. Then in August 2009, everything changed. Phillip Garrido walked into a University of California police station, rambling incoherently about hosting a religious event on campus. With him were two young girls, Jaycee's daughters. The university officer, suspicious of Garrido's demeanor and the girls' pale, sheltered appearance, notified the local police. The girls seemed disconnected from the world, unable to interact normally. The officer knew something wasn't right. The next day, Garrido and the girls were called in for questioning. This time, he brought Jaycee with him. He introduced her under a fake name, attempting to keep his story intact. But as the questioning grew more insistent, Jaycee cracked under the pressure. Her voice faltered, her eyes filled with tears.
My name is Jaycee Dugard.
The officers in the room froze. It had been 18 years since that bright June morning in 1991. 18 years since the last time anyone had seen or heard from Jaycee. And now, she was standing right in front of them. Immediately, police raided Garrido's home. What they found was horrifying. The backyard compound insulated from the world, the shed where Jaycee had been held, and the grim truth of her captivity. Phillip Garrido and Nancy Garrido were arrested on the spot. At last, after 18 years of torment, Jaycee Lee Dugard was free. When her mother, Terry Probin, saw her after all those years, she broke down, unable to process the miracle. Jaycee was alive, but so much had been stolen. But she was determined to reclaim her life. Phillip Garrido was sentenced to 431 years in prison. Nancy Garrido received 36 years to life. Justice was swift, though it could never fully compensate for the time Jaycee had lost. Over time, Jaycee began the slow and painful process of healing. She found joy in the simple freedoms she once took for granted, walking outside, feeling the sunlight, reconnecting with her family. In 2011, she published her memoir, A Stolen Life, bravely sharing her unimaginable story with the world. Though her past is marked by tragedy, Jaycee Dugard's courage and resilience remind us all of the strength it takes to survive and the importance of never giving up hope. 18 years were taken, but now she is free at last,